I'm Tom Pittman. I'm President Emeritus of the Community Foundation of Northwest Mississippi. Used to be president, but Keith replaced me, thank goodness. And he just keeps me around and lets me do whatever he tells me to do. And I've enjoyed that last 3 years. The one thing I wanted to say first, that I forgot to say yesterday, I should have. We do not have Pug and Dee Winokur with us this year, and that's because Dee had a fall, messed up her knee. She got a big boot on it, got in rehab. She couldn't travel, and Pug said, I think she wants me to stay there with her. So they did not come this year, but I wanted to, there's no way you scholars would know this, but I think it's important because it helps understand how things happen in the real world. Pug was making a trip, an annual trip with his mother a number of years ago, and they decided they'd go to Memphis for the Memphis in May barbecue contest. When they got there, they learned a fact that I also learned at that time. Just because you can smell barbecue, you can't eat barbecue. The people barbecuing only give it to their friends. So they said, we can't eat any barbecue, what are we going to do? And people said, go to Clarksdale to Abe's Barbecue, and you will find the best barbecue in the Mid-South. So they came to Clarksdale, and they wound up over at where I think some of you did, at Ground Zero, and Morgan Freeman happened to be there, one of the owners. And so Pug and Morgan Freeman started shooting pool together. And his mama started talking to Morgan Freeman, and they started talking about where they were and why Morgan was here, and all sorts of things. And Pug took away and said, you know, we could do some good. We could help with the Delta. And he uses the example of the Gates Foundation in his mind, which is doing work all over the world. And he said, on a much smaller scale, maybe we could put together something to do work in the Delta. Now, fortunately, Pug had the wherewithal to act on that. He was, some of you may know, on one of the 5 board of governors, a 5-member board of governors of Harvard University. So he had some resources to go to Harvard, and when he got to Harvard, the law school dean would talk to him, and the dean of the School of Public Health would talk to him. And he explained the situation, and they decided it would be a good thing. So that's how, well, previously Delta Directions existed as an academic theme, and Pug talked to Art Cosby over at Mississippi State Social Science Research Center, who was heading that up, and said, let's kind of combine our efforts with what we're doing and what we want to do philanthropically with what you're doing from an academic standpoint. So that's how Delta Directions really got started and has grown since that time. So none of us would be here if it weren't for Pug and Dee Winokur, and thank goodness you couldn't get barbecue in Memphis that weekend. And that's how the real world operates. But it's looking for opportunity wherever you go and trying to figure out what your resources are. So I'll just briefly, I'll tell about just the one project that Diana is helping us with, thank goodness, is our, what we call our DEEP project. We got started with the Kellogg Foundation grant to train female heads of households, low income in Sunflower County for jobs, workforce development grant. We said, great, where are they gonna work? As you may have noticed, there's not a whole lot of job development going on in the Delta. So we said, let's figure this out. There are solar farms going on in the Delta. There was one already planned. There are now 4 more planned for Sunflower County. There's 40 of them planned along Highway 61 and Highway 49. So let's train folks to go out there and construct solar farms. That's not about 1 or 2 year employment, but if you got 40 of them, that'll take care of a lot of people. So we started doing that in cooperation with community college there in Indianola. And then we said, well, that's not very sustainable because there's not going to be an infinite number of solar farms. So we started, what's a transferable skill? And one of them is home renovations. There's not homes being built in the Delta because we learned as soon as you build a house, it's worth less than the cost of building it because of the appraised value. So you don't want to build a bunch of houses because it decreases a person's wealth rather than increases it. So that's why we hit on the idea of renovating houses. And we decided we'd take the energy efficiency thing. We first started talking about solar panels on top of the houses. But thanks to talking with one of your students that you put us in touch with, Emma, who had done a lot of research on solar power and such, he said, you know, actually, that's not a very good investment, the solar panel on the roof. So we're not really focusing on that. We're talking about just any kind of energy efficiency. We found a social impact architect in Greenwood, Emily Roush Elliott, who's just fantastic. And she's been our kind of our guide through that. And she told us through her studies and such and experience, she actually wrote a book on how to do low income housing in the city of Delta. So it's really, she's good. And she told us if you can spend $3,000 to $8,000 on renovating a house and make it more energy efficient, then that person would save $300 a month on their energy bill. The problem is they don't have the money up front to do that renovation. So we got a bank involved that will do the loan up front, give her the money to do the work, and then do the pay. We're working on the payback schedule. But then the federal government stepped in, thank goodness, and decided to do energy tax credits. So instead of doing just what she could do, we can do more because the energy tax credits will provide a sustainable repayment for whatever energy efficiency is done. So, and then she, because she was involved in our group, she was able to get a HUD grant for $2 million to do home renovations in Greenwood and Florida and some of our counties. So, and included our students who were graduating from the construction academy, which we established at the community college, will give them jobs at $16 an hour, which is a lot better than what they're doing otherwise. So we're trying to create a flow of trained people in a construction academy, work in a solar farm, work renovating houses, have some money on the back end to fund those renovations that's in a sustainable way. So poor people can have better houses and we hope have better health. That's what Dinah's going to help us figure out. But they also can save money and they have a more comfortable place to live. So that's what our project we're working on.